Rediscover your sense of Santa Barbara. Stearns Wharf, you're on to something.
I pledge.
Pledge to take the 20-gallon challenge. It's easy and simple. Turn your sprinklers on and check for leaks once a month.
I pledge.
Use 3 inches of mulch throughout your garden.
I pledge.
Use online tools to adjust your watering schedule.
I pledge.
Install a rain sensor and it will automatically shut off your sprinklers when it is raining.
I pledge.
Save water now. Take the 20-gallon challenge at sbwater.org. The city's environment Rediscover your sense of Santa Barbara. Stearns Wharf, you're on to something.
I pledge.
Pledge to take the 20-gallon challenge. It's easy and simple. Turn your sprinklers on and check for leaks once a month.
I pledge.
Use 3 inches of mulch throughout your garden.
I pledge.
Use online tools to adjust your watering schedule.
I pledge.
Install a rain sensor and it will automatically shut off your sprinklers when it is raining.
I pledge.
Save water now. Take the 20-gallon challenge at sbwater.org. The city's environmental services gurus are ready to assist your business with recycling. If your trash and recycling are out of balance, then exchange your trash bins for recycling bins. Educate your staff and learn how to better manage your recycling. Find your center. Santa Barbara Recycles. Brilliant.
Hi, I'm Rachel Senes with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. Well, Santa Barbara is known as a coastal city, but besides its beaches, there are other places in Santa Barbara that are just as breathtaking, like the Front Country Trails. In our top story, we'll tell you about the increasing popularity of these trails and the challenges that come along with it, as well as post-fire impacts and the 3 agencies that have joined forces to address all these different issues. Beyond the serenity of its beaches, the charm of its downtown, past the obvious beauty of Santa Barbara, lies nature at its best. Stretching over 30 miles along the Front Range of the sweeping San Ynez Mountains, it is here where people seek peace and happiness, or discovery and adventure. For couples, it's a romantic walk. For thrill seekers, it's an adrenaline rush. For horse lovers, it's a nice ride. And for parents and their children, some quality family time together to explore nature.
I mean, it's just so beautiful, this area. My God, there's a myriad of trails. You could probably go, do this stuff every day for a month and not hit all the trails.
You just relax and you have fun and go with your friends and have a picnic, and it's just nice.
You can go hike a trail and then go cool off on the beach.
You can walk literally a few hundred yards and be on a nice, seemingly wild trail with lots of up and down to get exercise.
From west to east, the Santa Barbara Front Country Trails include Jesucita, Tunnel, Rattlesnake, West Fork Cold Springs, East Fork Cold Springs, San Ysidro, and Romero Canyon. When it comes to trail ownership, 3 agencies fit into the jurisdictional puzzle.
Land is owned by both private individuals and then also public agencies, which include the City of Santa Barbara, the County of Santa Barbara, the Forest Service, and then also other federal agencies own land. The way we have the front country trails and the reason why we have access to those trails is because both the city and the county have granted easements, as well as private landowners have granted easements to the Forest Service. So the Forest Service maintains those trails and makes them accessible for public use.
The accessibility of these trails is one of the reasons they're so popular. Whether you're on a bike, a horse, or on foot, the front country trails are a nature lover's paradise. Accessible and convenient, these trails can also be narrow and steep. Although these front country trails were originally made and maintained for equestrian use and popular among hikers, over the past few years these front country trails have attracted all sorts of users, including cross-country and downhill mountain bikers. Mountain bikers, equestrians, and hikers often cross paths here, and although most willingly share the trails, conflict does occur.
And that's essentially where we might have people who are hiking that encounter someone on a mountain bike, or people that are riding horses, equestrians, that encounter a hiker or someone on a mountain bike, and there can be conflict over the use of the trail.
In response to this conflict, the Front Country Trails Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force was formed, which is made up of 3 task force members and 3 staff members, each from the different agencies involved, the city, county, and Forest Service.
Our trails are overly loved. We have such good access to the front country trails, and they're used by many different user groups. And the task force was formed to give a public forum for these issues and to begin to work out among the different user groups some etiquette and then, of course, the management and maintenance.
The trails cross through the 3 different jurisdictions, and so it's hard to manage in 3 different ways or manage cohesively unless all of the agencies are working together. And what we found is that over the last couple of decades there's been a change in use with technology, particularly mountain bikes, and how now there's different multiple uses occurring out there.
You know, Santa Barbara's gotten busier. People, thank goodness, in our area are very outdoorsy. So we've seen a very large influx of new trail users, which are great.
The task force holds public meetings to review and discuss trail management, maintenance and regulatory issues, trail classification systems, user education strategies, funding, and options for protecting natural resources. The task force also receives presentations from stakeholders, such as the Sierra Club, the Santa Barbara Trails Council, and the Santa Barbara Mountain Bike Trail Volunteers.
We have these agencies, along with our stakeholders, working together, and that hasn't happened before. So it's great.
Educating trail users about the importance of trail etiquette is also part of resolving conflict. Most users practice trail etiquette, but these signs were made as a friendly reminder for both novice and experienced users. The signs show that hikers must yield to equestrians, and cyclists must yield to both hikers and equestrians.
For the most part, I think everyone wants to keep their access to the trails, and so they are very aware of how they need to behave, and they do try.
How they need to behave could be key to trail safety. For example, using a bike belt is important for mountain bikers.
And that alerts equestrians and hikers that there's a bike coming, so they're not surprised. And that enables them to wave at the biker and say, hey, slow down, or if they feel appropriate, if it's appropriate for them, they move off to the side. But the etiquette is actually for the cyclist to stop.
But what is more common than conflict is cooperation. Take, for example, this trail work day held in mid-June. Here, users of different kinds came together for the same reason, to give the trails some much-needed TLC after the devastating T and Jesucito wildfires. 5 5 trails were affected by the Jesucita fire and 2 by the Tea fire. And although the flames have long been extinguished, the evidence of wildfire still exists. Charred trees, ash along the trails, and blackened slopes. Take a look at the difference in these before and after photos shot by a city employee. Here is Stevens Park Trail, a few weeks before the Jesucita fire, with lots of greenery and tree cover. Here's what it looks like after the fire. This is San Roque Creek. Now here's the same creek after the fire. Notice the dry creek and lots of vegetation. Here's a shot looking down at Schofield before and after.
So we lost most of the tree cover, almost all of the vegetation, and as a result, there's nothing to hold the soil in place. And we've had erosion on the trails and ongoing what we call ravel. So material continues to fall down just by the force of gravity because of the steepness of those areas.
And those areas needed a lot of attention. So with safety gear and shovels in hand, over 100 volunteers along with the city, county, and Forest Service staff gathered at Schofield Park. Volunteers were organized into groups and dispersed to different trails within the burn area to get to work.
The workday was actually the conclusion of a lot of efforts of again, mitigating those safety measures. We had fire crews in there prior who looked at those weakened trees. They cut an awful lot of the burned brush that had fallen down on the trail, moved most of the rocks, cleared a lot of the slides, but there still remain some areas, and there probably will be additional work needed in some of those dry ravel places. But the purpose of or the focus of that Trails Day was to make that final push to get the trail structure back to normal.
They brought it back to normal by removing hazards from the trails like loose soil, brush, and rocks, which make the trails too narrow and unsafe for passage. Volunteers use shovels to stabilize the slope areas adjacent to the trails. In addition, volunteers laid down barriers to discourage unauthorized trails so that people stay on the main path and not veer off.
One of the challenges that we face now that these trails have burned is that you can see areas that were not visible before because we had trees and brush. And you can see places where people have built trails without permission to build those trails.
Leaving the main trail causes further erosion. In addition to visible offshoot trails, volunteers identified places where users shortcut the switchback. The tendency to cut the trail happens when users are tired or when they want a faster route. On Trail Workday, volunteers work to solve the switchback situation.
And what they were doing was taking what natural materials were available to block that off to discourage people from cutting the switchback or taking a shortcut down a ridge instead of staying on the main trail.
Volunteers also identified drainage needs and locations for water bars, which divert rainwater off the trail to reduce erosion. The workday was also a great opportunity to build volunteer networks for trail maintenance. Over the course of 5 hours, a lot of work was done to make the trail safer for use, and a month later, the hard work paid off. And thanks to those volunteers and agencies on Trail Workday, some of the trails affected by fires have reopened, like this one. Here on Rattlesnake Trail, you can see that there's less vegetation and tree cover. Officials say that although these trails have reopened and are in good condition, users should find other locations for recreation.
What we're really going to encourage is that people find other places to recreate. This summer, through the fall, we have so much opportunity in Santa Barbara that maybe it is a good idea to stay off the burned trails. Certainly when it rains, we will be watching them very closely because the last thing we want is anyone to be out in the front country during a rain event.
And erosion after heavy rains may be the most significant post-fire impact. Meanwhile, before hitting the trails, everyone who uses them plays an important role.
We all have a responsibility to share information. The trail organizations in Santa Barbara are very good at getting the message out to their members. In the last couple of years, We've been working closely with mountain bike groups, with hiking groups, with equestrian groups to make sure everyone knows what's going on related to the trails, how we're trying to develop better management strategies, and then also how to ensure that it's safer for everyone to use the trails.
Although challenges like funding make maintaining the trails an uphill battle, the task force and volunteers agree that steps are being taken in the right direction.
I just think your guys are doing a great job, and I think the volunteers help, and I think the task force, they just have to keep working at it so that we can always be able to ride the trails and have it open and just keep moving forward.
And the task force, volunteers, and stakeholders are moving forward. They continue to meet and discuss ongoing trail issues. Meanwhile, along the front country of the San Ynez Mountains, nature rejuvenates, wildfire being more a part of a cycle rather than an end to one. There are already hints of regrowth, splashes of green among blackened trees, and signs of life. And as the popularity of the front country trails continues to increase, the city, county, and Forest Service are working hard to encourage users to share the trails and continue to respect them and each other. Tunnel Connector, the Jesucita Trail from Inspiration Point to Tunnel Trail will all remain closed due to cleanup and stabilization work over the next couple of months. And the multi-jurisdictional task force meetings are broadcast here on City TV Channel 18. For a schedule of when you can watch, log on to our website, that's citytv18.com. And we'll be right back.
Shouldn't that go into recycling?
Recycling? Recycling? Everybody knows the trash gets sorted. We don't need no stinking recycling.
Fact is, no trash gets sorted, friend. So if it goes in there, it just ends up at a landfill.
There's only one way to settle this. Draw.
Santa Barbara Recycles.
Another day in your day-to-day replays. Moments you might cherish pass you by. But the light of the morning seems to say that one small thing can change the world. The morning light remains. The smile that you offer is returned. The good fortune of the day can be blamed on the fact that one small thing can change the world.
Minutes away. Hours of fun. See another world. Stearns Wharf. Your local, affordable source for family fun. 10,000 years ago, early cave dwellers relied on natural fiber shoulder pouches to gather their food. Native Americans used baskets made of rushes or reeds to collect and carry acorns, berries, or fish. In the mid-19th century, gold miners loaded their saddlebags with precious metals and packed it onto their donkeys. 1930s American movie icons skipped down the yellow brick road with full baskets for the journey. In the 70s, we were all grooving to the latest funkadelic sounds with our out-of-sight bags. History has shown us that reusable is a better way to go. The decisions we make each day affect the world around us.
Thank you. Where's your bag?
I pledge.
Pledge to take the 20-gallon challenge. It's easy and simple. Turn off the tap while doing dishes.
We pledge.
Fixing leaky toilets saves thousands of gallons of water.
We pledge.
Always run full loads of laundry. Use a high-efficiency clothes washer which saves water and energy.
We pledge.
Save water now. Take the 20-gallon challenge at sbwater.org.
Well, whether you're rebuilding after the recent wildfires or just remodeling, you've got to plan for the possibility of a wildfire. The good news is the city offers resources to help you out. Channel 18's Chris Bell has the story.
After 3 major wildfires within 9 months, it's not just those who lost property that are thinking about making their homes more fire-resistant. Fire officials say that a more fire-resistive home doesn't come as a result of using a single tactic, but rather a combination of them.
It's defensible space, it's road clearance, it's vegetation management, it's construction requirements, and it's that sense of community cooperation that will make a successful outcome.
The latest building code adopted in 2008 calls for more stringent requirements for structures in high fire hazard areas. The high fire hazard area within the city shown here encompasses a large swath of Santa Barbara. Fire officials say some residents are surprised to learn their property is within this area because they are below, say, Foothill Boulevard, APS, or live in a coastal zone. The new code calls for the use of a number of techniques proven to reduce a structure's vulnerability to wildfires.
Among the things that it requires are exterior siding, for instance, has to be non-combustible. So no more wood siding or anything like that. It has to be non-combustible, and that includes the undersides of eaves and those types of elements. The roof has to be non-combustible, Class A at a minimum.
And while the classic Santa Barbara red tile roof can be used, there are a few construction techniques that must be employed to make it acceptable.
So if you've ever looked at a red tile roof, you'll notice that the end caps are pretty much open. And that could tend to expose the underside of the roof material to a flying ember. If an ember gets trapped underneath one of those tiles, it could set those wood structures on fire. And so what we'd recommend is that they also be filled with a non-combustible material, usually a stucco type of material.
In approaching fire resistance, you have to consider the areas most susceptible to fire incursion, or weakest links. In a home, that's the windows and vents.
We found that the interior of the home will ignite once a window goes. And then you have an interior structure fire as well as the outside wildland fire.
And firefighters have found that the intense heat generated by wildfires can ignite fires inside a home even without penetrating the structure. To reduce that intensity and to impede a fire's ability to travel, fire experts recommend creating what is called defensible space.
The idea with defensible space is to slow down how fast that fire moves and how hot it moves so that when it gets up to the structure, it doesn't result in the loss of the house.
Defensible space calls for different landscaping depending upon the distance from a structure.
Some of the things that we look for in defensible space in this area, which is in the foothill area of the high fire hazard area, is clearance from the structure back 100 feet, with the most important zone being from the structure out 30 feet. That's where we want everything really clean, really green, free of dead, really well irrigated. And this house is a very good example of implementing some of the different landscaping techniques that we're looking for in defensible space. They use a lot of succulent plants. They utilize great spacing in between. They sort of cluster different types of vegetation. And you can look at all the trees. They've pulled them back from the side of the structure. Their gutters are fairly clean. They've created that spacing both horizontally with the clustering of plants and then vertically. You see none of the canopies of the trees are really tight, really compact. They're pretty open.
To show examples of what plants can be used in each of these zones and how beautiful Firewise landscaping can be, the city created the Firescape Garden off Stanwood Drive and Mission Ridge Road.
They have plants that you want to plant within that first 30 feet from your structure. And as you move farther out, you can start incorporating larger shrubs, a little bit larger clusters, larger trees, and they show that in the Firescape Garden. It's really pretty. There's parking. It's nice to walk around.
As the name implies, defensible space is about making a structure defendable by firefighters. One of the many benefits to maintaining good defensible space is it increases the likelihood of firefighters using your property to fight a fire. No one knows this better than Michael Mattioli and Ginger Sledge. When the Hezecita fire threatened their Mission Canyon home, fire engines from Westwood chose their property to make a stand.
The morning before the fire got to Mission Canyon in that afternoon, a lot of the fire units came up and they scouted all these properties and they chose the ones that had the most defensible space.
The choice proved to be a good one. On Thursday, May 7th, when the winds changed direction and the fire surrounded their property, Engine 37 from Westwood was there.
Basically all hell broke loose. You know, it was raining down embers from all these houses up on the ridges that were burning. It had already gone down on tunnel and was coming across and back and forth from the Botanic Gardens to either side of tunnel was on fire. They said our whole yard was on fire from all these embers. We had just cleared all of the foxtails and the stuff maybe 3-4 weeks before.
With the help and cooperation of the Mission Canyon Homeowners Association, Ginger and Michael's work to establish and maintain defensible space paid off, and not just for them.
I met with the firemen who actually saved our house, and they said, yeah, I mean, we picked your house to protect 9 other structures as well because of all the space you had around your house. And I really think that makes a huge difference, and that saved our house.
But to stage a defense, firefighters have to get to your property in the first place, which brings up another crucial element in an overall fire strategy: access.
What we're looking for is the ability for fire apparatus to get up as people are coming down.
After approval by vote of residents, the city created the Wildland Benefit Assessment District in 2006. One of the benefits of that program is road clearance. However, the program doesn't cover all roads in the high fire hazard area.
All taxpayers in the high fire hazard areas are required to maintain that road clearance, public road clearance, if their vegetation begins to encroach on the road to a distance of 10 feet off the road.
Adequate clearance allows residents to quickly and safely evacuate, and it allows firefighters to focus on the fire.
If it's a choice between saving a home that's on fire or under threat or saving an individual who's in his car in the same zone and not able to get out, we're going to have to save the individual. So from our perspective, it's better if that individual is already down the hill.
Just as structures have weakest links, so too can communities. The negligence of even one property owner can jeopardize whole neighborhoods.
Defensible space isn't just a suggestion or a good idea from the fire department, it's state law. And so it's a requirement for everybody to maintain their defensible space. If you have an intractable neighbor who just won't cooperate, call the fire department. We can come out and take a look at the situation, and we have a lot of options. You know, we can write tickets for that kind of thing. We can prosecute for that. But you know, what we like to do is work with the homeowners.
A comprehensive wildfire strategy has many benefits, not the least of which is its effect on those who put their lives on the line.
They fight the fire, and they were here for 2 days, and they never left, and they were determined to save the house, and I couldn't believe it.
Ginger Sledge went to Westwood to personally thank the firefighters who saved her home. What she found was even more reason to remain diligent when it comes to wildfire prevention and resistance.
And a couple of them had their families there, and I was hugging their families because their families actually went through it with them. One of the firemen who never left our house, he was taking photographs as the fire was coming up our driveway and sending them by cell phone to his wife. And so she was just, you know, on pins and needles about her husband in this situation. And so I was thanking her and hugging her as well, because they went through it as well. You don't think about their families so much, but
the recent wave of wildfires serves as a potent reminder of our area's propensity to burn. Fire officials hope that all residents are inspired to act now to better ensure the safety of themselves and their property when the next wildfire inevitably occurs.
we know living in this area that it's a natural thing. So it's just something that we live with, and that if we do our best to make those spaces and try to live safely here, it's not only just safe for us, it's safe for our neighbors, it's safe for the firemen who try to save our structures. It's really safe for everybody. So I think if you work with nature, you know, you're going to come out better.
To help you create the most fire-resistant home possible, the city offers free site and structure consultation and evaluation to residents in the high fire areas. To schedule an appointment, contact the City Fire Department at 564-5702. Well, Santa Barbara residents know that water is a precious resource, but as long as water flows through our taps, we don't actually think about the intricate process it takes to get there. Up next, Channel 18's Dominic Blocker takes us to the source and shows us a critical link in our water system.
As we start our day and turn on the faucet to brush our teeth or make our morning coffee, or as we water our lawns in the evening, there is one critical component that we probably don't put much thought into: our water supply. On the South Coast, approximately 80% of our water comes from Kachuma Lake, and getting that water to our homes and businesses is no easy task. When you consider that everything from municipalities to agriculture to the environment and endangered species are dependent upon that same water for survival, it's hard to imagine such seemingly divergent priorities can all be met. That's where the Kachuma Operation and Maintenance Board comes into the picture. For years, this agency has made sure that the water supply meets everyone's daily needs.
The Kachuma Operation and Maintenance Board, or we call it COME, was established in 1956, and it's what we call a joint powers agency, and we have 5 water districts that sit on our board of directors.
The 5 districts that make up the agency, the City of Santa Barbara, the Montecito Water District, Carpinteria Water District, Goleta Water District, and the San Ynez River Water Conservation District Improvement District Number 1, have entitlement to the water in Kachuma Lake, and they share in the cost of the operation and maintenance of the facilities.
The Bureau of Reclamation built the Kachuma project, and they established the Operation and Maintenance Board, which is COME. And we operate and maintain all of the facilities except for Bradbury Dam, from Lake Kachuma, a tunnel that goes through the mountains called Tecolote Tunnel, and all of the South Coast facilities, which is the South Coast conduit that goes from Goleta all the way to Carpinteria. It's about 26 miles. So it's an essential water supply pipeline, and each of the member agencies plug into that system, and water goes into their own distribution system to provide water to the residents of Santa Barbara County.
With over 200 structures and 4 balancing reservoirs to keep up, along with meeting the needs of multiple interested parties, a collaborative effort is crucial.
COME represents an excellent example of how agencies can work together effectively, and the board is made up of representatives from each of the participating agencies. So elected representatives are appointed by the electing boards to be the representative to COME and to represent COME's interests on that board. And it works really well. It's a really nice way to work together to manage the funding and operation of this facility in all of our best interests.
We have to have the support, obviously, of our member agencies. It's a completely cooperative venture. By its nature, it's integrated with all the water systems on the South Coast.
And beyond the 5 member agencies, COME also works with the federal government, which operates Bradbury Dam, as well as the state government.
The other water that comes into Lake Kachuma is from the State Water Project that too is delivered through the Kachuma Project facilities. So not only do we deliver water from Lake Kachuma, we also deliver water from the State Water Project. So these facilities are essential for the operations and cooperative effort on the part of all of our member agencies.
That effort has helped to maintain the Tecolote Tunnel, the South Coast Conduit Pipeline, flow control valves, and more for over 50 years. But as any structure ages, there is only so much maintenance that can be done before replacements and retrofits are needed. For many COMB facilities, that time has come.
The infrastructure is really aging. We can no longer really guarantee that we can continue to deliver water reliably without doing some substantial capital improvement work. So instead of just straight O&M, we are moving into a new phase for COMB, which is to provide upgrades to the system through a series of capital improvement projects.
One of those upcoming capital improvement projects will take place here in Santa Barbara. Not only will the project replace a damaged section of the South Coast Conduit, but COMB is also working with the city to incorporate improved passage for the endangered steelhead trout. As the Kachuma Operation and Maintenance Board moves into the future, projects like these, along with the continued upkeep of the system, will ensure that everyone's needs are valued and fulfilled.
In the past, over the beginning of the project, it was really straight, let's deliver the water, the supply, and it was much more narrow in focus than it is now. But the duties and responsibilities that are critical to being able to meet all these various needs and balance all of the requirements, and water is scarce. We don't get much water in this region. So I think we do have a success story. We work well together with our member agencies. We have very good relationship with the Bureau of Reclamation. We have good relationship on state level and with our local politicians and legislators and board members. And I do think we have been very successful in achieving that.
Even though it's not owned or operated by any of our individual local governments, it's just as critical to our infrastructure and to the delivery of water as any of our own distribution systems or any of our own treatment plants, because it serves as the critical link between the water supply and the residents. And so the operation and maintenance of the COMB facilities, the effective operation and maintenance of those facilities, is really critical to us, and I believe that COMB does a nice job in seeing that that occurs.
That operation is what ultimately enables us to wake up and brush our teeth each morning and enjoy the beautifully watered parks and gardens around town, an environment which, without water, would be drastically different.
Without Kachuma, without the reservoir, we would have significantly less water. It's our primary source of water for all of the South Coast. So it represents 60 to 70% of our water supply. So we'd be looking at a very different landscape, a very different climate.
For more information on COMB, visit their website. That's kachuma-board.org. And we'll be right back.
How come Dad couldn't come to the beach?
He had to fertilize the lawn.
I saw on television that when fertilizer gets washed in the creeks, it causes slimy algae to grow.
Is that bad?
When too much oxygen for the fish. Other things washes lawns too, like pesticides.
And the pollution ends up in the ocean. You think Dad knows that?
I doubt it. I sure hope he reads the directions.
Remember, when you're fertilizing your lawn, you're not just fertilizing your lawn.
Another day in your day-to-day replays. Moments you might cherish pass you by. What the light of the morning seems to say, that one small thing can change the world. The morning light remains. The smile that you offer is returned. The good fortune of the day can be blamed on the fact that one small thing can change the world.
I'm not happy with the numbers. We've got to find a way to cut costs.
But boss, we've checked everywhere. We're doing everything we can.
Mr. Johnson, I've noticed your office throws a lot of recyclables in the trash. If you recycled instead, it could save you some money.
What floor, please?
Top floor.
And welcome back to Inside Santa Barbara. If you're looking to trim your electricity bill but don't know where to start, you should watch our next segment. In it, City TV's Nina Sang introduces us to a local program that not only shows us how to save energy, it gives us the resources to do it.
Summer, a time for fun in the sun, beaches, bathing suits, and rolling blackouts. But while some may like it hot, many of us look to escape the heat by staying indoors and cranking the AC. But before you reach for that thermostat, think twice because your next energy bill may make you lose your cool. On average, a typical U.S. household spends more than $1,500 a year on home utility bills. About a third of that could easily be eliminated by using simple techniques. That's why the City of Santa Barbara, Goleta, Carpinteria, and the County of Santa Barbara have teamed up with Southern California Edison to form the South Coast Energy Efficiency Partnership, also known as SCEAP.
It's a partnership of all these entities bringing together helpful resources, tips, and other types of initiatives to our area, encouraging people to save money and save energy as well as save the environment.
The SCEAP provides benefit to the community by providing education to the public on how they can save energy and opportunities to help offset the cost of those energy conservation measures.
In the past 3 years, SCEAP has made great strides towards making Santa Barbara businesses more energy efficient. And they've done it at a cost any business owner can appreciate.
Periodically, SCEAP will perform a certain amount of work for absolutely free, $5,000 worth of work for local area businesses. And that includes all kinds of energy retrofit projects.
As a result of this initiative, we saved over 6 million kilowatts of energy a year, and that's enough to power 1,200 homes. So it was really significant savings, not just for the small and medium-sized businesses in our area, but we did a really good thing in saving energy as a whole.
SCEAP provides local South Coast residents with energy-saving resources as well.
We've done a number of things in the community, such as a holiday light exchange, where we encourage people to bring in inefficient incandescent bulbs for holiday lights and exchange them for LED lights.
LED, or light-emitting diode bulbs, last longer than even fluorescent bulbs, and they give off less heat. And if the temperature gets to be too warm inside, opt for a fan instead of the AC.
They use less energy than your air conditioning, and it costs less as well. In fact, a ceiling fan, which doesn't cost that much to install, can lower the temperature in your house up to 6 to 7 degrees.
Edison offers up to $50 rebates for ceiling fans. And don't forget to slay the voltage vampires lurking in your home or office. Devices like stereos and TVs still use electricity even when turned off. In fact, all plugged-in CD players in the U.S. consume enough energy in 1 year to power the Las Vegas Strip for 6 months. That's why SCEAP is asking you to kill these power parasites by unplugging them when they're not in use, or by using a smart power strip like this one. When you turn off one device, it kills the power to other devices automatically. And when shopping for energy-efficient appliances, don't be misled by labels such as Energy Miser, Energy Saver, or Fuel Saver. The best way to determine energy efficiency is to compare the information provided by these Energy Guide labels. Also, look for the Energy Star symbol, which means that the product is highly energy efficient.
Another thing that you can do is make sure that the door gaskets are in good working order, and make sure that the condenser, which is the little area that expels the heat energy from the system, is clear from lint and debris.
And when it comes to efficiency in the workplace, the city leads by example. It recently upgraded all the heating and cooling systems at the Community Development Building at 630 Garden Street.
What we try to do is really go above and beyond, because we really are in a place where we need to set an example and to save money for the local community.
And if, after incorporating all the tips and techniques Skeep offers, you're still feeling the heat, you can always enjoy a cheap and abundant source of cool right here.
If during the August days it just becomes too hot, do what my family does. Just head on down to the beach and put your feet in the water.
For more information on Skeep and energy saving tips, visit their website, that is sceep.org. Well, would that be paper or plastic? How about neither? Choose to use reusable bags. That's the theme of a new community-wide campaign called Where's Your Bag? In our next story, we'll tell you about the effort to encourage you to use, keep, and repeat. They lie forgotten at the bottom of kitchen drawers and sit forsaken in the trunks of cars. They're the reusable bags you had the great idea to buy but can't quite remember to bring with you when you'll need them. But a new effort in Santa Barbara aims to remind you to use those reusable bags, like this canvas bag, which is made of 100% organic cotton. You can use, keep, and repeat, a theme echoed in a new campaign called Where's Your Bag? The goal of this campaign is to educate the public about the environmental effects of plastic and paper single-use bags, and to promote the use of reusable shopping bags.
The slogan is, where's your bag? When you come to the grocery store, we found that most people do bring their bags, but they forget them in the car, or they have them at home and they have them put away. They have good intentions, but they just forget to bring their bags. So we're trying to incorporate a theme throughout grocery stores and on TV ads and signage that we'll be giving to grocery stores to get people to be aware of this logo they'll see all around town.
Where's Your Bag is quickly gaining momentum, and local businesses like Tri-County Produce and Marburg Industries are helping carry out the campaign.
We track how many customers are bringing their own bags, and we have found this year so far that approximately 33%, 1/3 of our customers are bringing their own bags. After the Where's Your Bag campaign, we're anxious to measure that and see how the numbers change. And we always ask everybody, would you like paper or plastic, or did you bring your own bag today? And that's helping prompt the message of them.
I think it's a very, very good sound program, and we've turned out to be a throwaway society, and we have to change our ways. We can't keep going the way that we're going.
In addition to Marburg and Tri-County Produce, other sponsors of the Where's Your Bag campaign include the California Grocers Association, Choose to Reuse, the Santa Barbara Channel Keepers, Univision, Ralph's, Albertsons. But if paper and plastic bags are recyclable, what's wrong with using them? Supporters of the Where's Your Bag campaign argue a lot. Although paper and plastic bags are marked as recyclable, only about 10 to 15% of paper bags are recycled, and just 1 to 3% of plastic bags are recycled. Californians throw away 600 plastic bags per second and use 19 billion plastic bags per year. Many residents toss their plastic bags in their home recycling bin and roll it out for curbside pickup. The recyclables in these home bins end up at the Gold Coast Materials Recovery Facility in Ventura. Although plastic bags are technically recyclable, the cost of sorting plastic bags from many tons of recyclables makes the process prohibitive. A better alternative, and indeed the only way to recycle plastic bags, is to take your clean, dry bags to the supermarket, where they are all collected together. Since the bags do not then have to be sorted, recycling is cost-effective. Of notable concern in terms of the dangers of plastic bags is the fact that hundreds of thousands of marine mammals, sea turtles, and birds die every year from ingesting plastic bags, which they mistake for food. Paper bags can also pose a problem. The production of paper bags is extremely energy intensive, far more than plastic bags. Paper bags take 4 times as much energy to manufacture as plastic, and generate 70% more air and 50% more water pollution than plastic bags. So there are plenty of reasons to opt for reusable bags, and people have responded by purchasing them in large quantities. The hard part is getting people to remember to use them.
In order for this to work, we have to change customer behavior and how they go about doing their daily tasks. And that can't be done just with our industry. So working together, the city and local neighborhood groups and grocers, I think we can hopefully achieve that.
This public service announcement is aimed at getting the point across.
10,000 years ago, cave dwellers used pouches. Native Americans used tightly woven baskets. The mid-19th century saw gold miners using their leather saddlebags, while 1930s movie icons swung a basket from their arm. The groovy 70s were known for their out-of-sight man purses. History has shown us that reusable is the way to go. Where's your bag?
Businesses and nonprofits are also doing their part to spread the word.
Being the recyclers that we are, bags are very difficult to recycle. It's so wasteful to have these bags ending up in the landfill. They're going to be there forever. The bottom line is we've got to change our way of doing things today.
People want to do the right thing, and what we're trying to do is just make it easier for them to remember to do the right thing. And you'll see, I think it's been a trend. It's also very cool, you know. It's a cool thing to do, to know you're helping the environment. And you're doing a very small thing, you know. It doesn't take much on your end to make a big difference.
Personally, I think that several years ago, I started recycling myself from a prompting of a friend, why am I not recycling? And I realized how easy it is to do. And once people start reusing and recycling, it just becomes a habit. And then you feel good about it by not throwing stuff away. And it's an easy thing to do, and I encourage everyone to start.
And everyone can start by investing in a reusable bag. Many grocery stores sell their own reusable bags and often offer discounts and other incentives to customers who use them. Where's Your Bag supporters say you'll quickly see how easy it is to use, keep, and repeat. And together, one by one, we can all help to kick off and carry out this new campaign. On August 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. at De La Guerra and State Streets, the city, along with campaign sponsors, will kick off the Where's Your Bag campaign. You can bring all of your plastic bags and trade them in for a free reusable canvas bag. There will be musical entertainment by the family-friendly Banana Slug String Band, a trashy fashion show, and booths so you can learn more about helping the environment. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Senes, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.